nursing home is a very specific type of case that we would have in the past called a medical negligence case. Now it's called a Health Care Liability Act. But very specifically, nursing homes have a lot of rules, state and federal, that they must follow, and they must act as a reasonable nursing home would do under the circumstances. In other words, they have to give the type of medical care that a reasonable nursing home would give under all circumstances. What's important to note there is it is not an excuse to say we don't have funding for an extra employee, we don't have enough staff, we should have had another LPN or another nursing assistant, another doctor making rounds. They take on a contract basically to take care of elderly people and to provide them proper care, and that's all that matters. The primary types of cases that we see fall into three big areas. One is falls or fall prevention. Believe it or not, there are a lot of rules and regulations in place to try to prevent falls, and fall risk assessments are done on all patients. And we see a lot of those. Number two can be lack of nourishment or malnutrition type cases. It's very specific what must be done with patients that maybe aren't eating a proper diet and aren't getting the nourishment they need. The nursing home has a lot of requirements in that regard. And the third is pressure sores, or sometimes it's known as decubitus ulcers or bed sores. Those are very common cases. In most cases, pressure sores, bed sores can be prevented. There's a lot of propaganda out there about that, and there are cases where they cannot be, and I will say that on the record, but there are very, very many where they can be based upon proper care, positioning of the patient, precautions taken to prevent those. Now, there are good nursing homes that provide excellent care, and I need to say that on the record. But there can be a profit motive to have inadequate staffing. And when you have inadequate staffing, you have a lot of issues with, things that aren't done, quite frankly, things that aren't checked up upon, and notations that are not made, and corners that are cut. Inadequate training is obviously another big area that we see. There's been a lot of improvements in that over the years, but we still see a lot of issues with that, and that's what, in a lot of our cases, our experts point to is somebody that saw something and should have reported it to somebody further up and did not, and that led to a tragic consequence. You must have an expert doctor and or nurse if it's a nursing care issue. They must be lined up and be prepared to testify that that nursing home deviated from the acceptable standard of care in that particular case and those particular set of facts. And then notice of that must be sent within a time frame prior to a lawsuit ever being filed. And so that's a very stringent requirement that has to be met to the T. If there's any little technical problem or difficulty with that notice, the cases are actually just dismissed. They're over 20 years now, and we still continue to handle a number of these, and have successfully handled in recent months severe pressure ulcer bed sore case, and also a case where a gentleman lost one of his arms due to failure to diagnose a condition that could have been treated according to our expert and could have saved his arm. And so there are a myriad number of things that can happen, and I can't even begin to tell you all of them, but if you think there's something with a loved one in a nursing, give us a call. It's a free call, 265-1100, and let us take a look at the medical records and the facts and see if there's something there.